February 18th at 6 o'clock, and I'd like to call the regular Board of Education meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening, and I understand we also have a Boy Scout here working on his scouting badge from South Forsyth High School. We always like to welcome them. And at this time, would you please stand and join me in the pledge? Oh, sorry, I forget that. Please salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have before you a recommended agenda. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
No changes.
Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve as published?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion from Tom and a second from Kristin. All in favor? Unanimous. First on our agenda is Cindy Salome, and she is going to do the recognitions for us this evening.
Good evening to everybody. This is always the best part of the meeting, and it's my pleasure tonight to get to announce our award winners. I'd like to first start with the 2020 Georgia Economics Teacher of the Year, Joel Miller. Come forward, Joel. While you look at him, I want to tell you a little bit about him. He came to work for us in 2008. He is now teaching social studies at South Forsyth High School. He previously taught ESOL and social studies at Piney Grove Middle, and he also taught social studies at West Forsyth High. Please join me in congratulating Joel Miller. If you're here to support him, and I know we've got two big supporters at least, will you please stand and let us congratulate you? Thank you. And for our Employee of the Month, tonight we are recognizing Mike Sloop. Please come right here, Mike, while we talk about you. Jim and Nix is our sponsor for this Employee of the Month. Mike is presently principal at Silver City Elementary. He began with us in 2002 as a second career, and I've known him since he was a baby. He was a science teacher in ITS at Otwell Middle School, assistant principal at Big Creek in 2013, and then also assistant principals at Little Mill Middle School and DeSanta Middle before going to Silver City. So this is what they had to say about you, Mike. Mr. Sloop is rocking his first year as principal of Silver City Elementary School. He is authentically engaged and cares about every facet of the school. Mr. Sloop is an instructional leader who leads Silver City Elementary by example. He has quickly built a strong, positive rapport with students, parents, faculty, and staff by showing that he genuinely cares about our school. He maintains high expectations and is willing to jump in and work wherever he sees a need, regardless of the task. Seeing him foster relationships in the building, having an open-door policy, being a team player, and being involved in almost every aspect of our schools makes me want to work hard for him. Congratulations, Mike. If there are those of you here to support Mike, if you would please stand. Yay. Thank you. It's now time for the Superior Spotlight. Days Creek Elementary is our Superior Spotlight for the evening. Digital Citizenship Lessons. Eric Ashton, Principal.
I want to introduce my fabulous staff. I know everybody thinks they have the best staff, but I truly have the best counselors and ITS in the building. I'm going to let them introduce them. They did a cute PowerPoint, so they wanted to say their own names. But and then I'm smart enough to get out of the way of even smarter people. So I'm going to let them, and I can't even pronounce it too. I do in digital citizenship. It's one of those things, but they did a great job. They've already presented once this week, so we're going to let them go.
Hi, so I'm Jennifer Canavan. I'm the media specialist at Daves Creek Elementary.
I'm Megan Horsley. I'm the Instructional Technology Specialist.
I'm Ashley Johnson.
And I'm Lindsay Albertson. We're the school counselors, and we're here to speak with you tonight about how we collaborate to implement digital citizenship at our school.
And Digital Citizenship is our county-wide initiative to help students be responsible online.
So this is our scope and sequence for the county that our district media specialist, Kristin created, and it's for K through 12.
And in the elementary school, we really provide them the foundation to be a good digital citizenship. And we start that with the responsible use guidelines. And the responsible use guidelines are a set of 5 I will statements, and these are set forth by the district. This is what we push into classrooms at the beginning of the year, the 4 of us do. And we either do this together or we divide this up, and we go in and we teach them what it means to be a good digital citizen and to follow the guidelines. We also share with them the trust poster, and the trust poster is just reworded for the responsible use guidelines in kid-friendly language. And we always tell the students, and we give them a common message, and we tell them that at Daves Creek we trust that they'll be responsible users of technology. So we want to show you the K-5 scope and sequence and just focus in on that. And want to show you where we start and where we end at the elementary school. So in kindergarten, we start with going places safely. We talk about what websites are okay for them to visit. We also talk about online privacy and what personal and private information is, and the difference between what they should share and not share when they're online. How to talk safely to each other online. And then we also, in 5th grade, we cover their digital footprint. So we teach them what their digital footprint is and what it means to leave a positive digital footprint behind.
And as the media specialist, I teach the bottom 2 rows, which are creative credit and copyright and information literacy. And so we start with kindergarten, talking about usernames and passwords and what it means to keep your personal information private. Through 2nd grade, we talk about copyright and why that's important and what it means, all the way to 4th and 5th, where we talk about citing sources and how to find valid sources, and also what it means if certain medias are biased and why that's important to understand that. So the picture on the left is just showing a small group researching. So we teach the Foundation for Internet Safety, and I teach research skills. So up to this point, these kids have received lessons on how to cite sources and how to find valid sources, and I've also taught note-taking skills up to this point. So now they're in a small group collaborating to research and answer their research questions.
And the other picture is taking the responsible use guidelines and making a game out of it. So we like to do digital breakouts with the kids, try to make it a little fun, and it's where they have to solve a set of clues, and then they try to digitally break out, and they get a prize at the end.
So each year at the beginning of the year, we sit down and collaborate and decide who is going to teach which lesson. Sometimes we teach together, sometimes we teach separately, and we break it down. And we do this not just for time constraints, but also because we truly believe our lessons align, and we want kids to understand that feelings go along with technology, and you've got to be mindful of that. So that's why we do our lessons that way.
We also alter lessons to meet the needs of our school or of a particular grade level or classroom. For example, Ms. Horsley and I teach 2nd grade cyberbullying, and we've split that into 2 lessons. So the first lesson I go in and teach students about what bullying means, strategies, feelings associated with it, and then the second lesson is Ms. Horsley talking about cyberbullying specifically.
So we do make modifications year to year on the scope and sequence. You can see where Ms. Duschel makes edits to the lessons every year. And we also make modifications and add some lessons in as we see that we have a need for. So whether there's a popular platform that we need to speak to or something that we see that pops up at the school that we're addressing, we might supplement and make lessons along the way throughout the year.
And we also use Nearpod a lot to teach these lessons, and Common Sense Media is another great resource that we use that has a lot of good information. And some of the Nearpod lessons can be kind of long, so we can edit those though and take out what we don't want to use, and we can add things to that. And we keep our lessons to like 40-minute max, just so we keep the kids engaged. And then sign-ups, throughout the year we send out sign-up like invitations to the teachers, usually through Sign Up Genius or Google Sheets. And then that's how we make sure we get all the K-5, collaborate to get all the K-5 students taught these digital citizenship skills.
For people in our audience who may not understand what Nearpod is, could you just explain that a little bit, please?
So that's a website, I guess. We have it. That's county. Everyone in the county has access to it, and there are lessons built in there, and you can build your own lessons, and they're interactive. The kids can submit their answers on it, and it's kind of, the whole class can see it, and it's kind of an instant.
It pushes out to their own device.
Yeah, so
Right.
they all have like their
iPad or
own
Chromebook.
way they can respond to.
Right. Thank you.
And we mentioned a few times that we modify our lessons to meet our student needs. Specifically, a lesson that we do in 5th grade in the top right-hand corner, Ms. Forsyth and I teach this together, is the power of words. So we pick scenarios that our kids are really doing at that time. So it may be TikTok or group chat or Snapchat or whatever it is, and we play like a what would you do game. And so we ask the kids like in groups, like what would you do in this situation? And then we talk about what you should do in this situation. And it's a great reference throughout the year. Like if they're misusing technology, we can pull our little cards out. Remember we talked about this? So it's just a great talking point as well.
And you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, there's another activity we use with 1st grade, and we've used in some of our specialized instruction classrooms, a book called Chicken Clicking. And then there's a fun activity where they have a red, green, or yellow sign, and they hold that up according to the type of website that's described. Also in the top left, you'll see a question from one of our Kahoot games, which is an online game that students interact with as well on their device and answer the questions, and then they can instantly kind of see the answer. So we use that for responsible use.
And the center picture there is just showing some quick data that's actually from Nearpod. So you can it's one way to get a quick snapshot of whether the students understood the lesson that you were teaching. So this particular one is from a 1st grade lesson I did teaching, websites if they're safe or not. And so I can get instant notification about if they're understanding or not.
And another tool that we have, Ms. Duschel created a digital citizenship tools for families website. And this aligns exactly with all of the topics that we teach K-5. This is posted on our webpage. It's also posted on our It's Learning dashboard for our school.
And we just know students today are exposed to so many different kinds of media all the time, so we feel these digital citizenship skills are extremely important for them to become responsible users of information and technology, and we know parents are also an important part of keeping their kids safe online. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ashton said you guys presented recently. Where did you present?
At the elementary counselor meeting.
Okay.
And the parent advisory.
Okay, so you guys were part of that last week, and I apologize, I wasn't able to be there. So thank you for being part of that. It's such an important topic in our community because, as we all know, technology is such a powerful resource, but we have to make sure that our students use it appropriately. And part of that is making sure our parents understand what we are expecting our students and how they use it. So thank you very much for getting that information out there. Any questions for?
No, but I was one of the ones at the parent advisory committee, and you guys did a wonderful job. And it had a really good conversation at the end because of the way you guys facilitated and shared the story that you guys are doing at Dave's Creek. So thank you for that. They did a good job at the parents advisory
They're great
committee.
at collaborating too, so I think that's the biggest piece is that we're not doing it in isolation. Our teachers are all collaborating amongst each other and our kids. They're doing real life situations. There's things, issues that may pop up, and they handle it that way, so they're awesome at that.
And I think when you start with kids small, like kindergarten, they don't they will be better because they've been taught to be better. Where a lot of times now the kids that are older didn't start at kindergarten, so they don't really know how to be better. And if you start them off when they first start with their computers and whatever correctly, I think it's so important. One of the most important things that we teach in school, I really do.
Well, we're trying to be very proactive instead of
Right.
reactive and when kids make a mistake. So we're trying to get out in front of it so they truly understand. And the piece about the digital footprint is so critically important for kids to understand at an early age, for sure.
Well, that was one of my questions. I like that it's kind of age appropriate, what you taught at kindergarten versus say first or second grade. Do you still find though that kids are tech savvy and how to use it even maybe at kindergarten, but you have to still kind of back them up and start some basics that they might already kind of be ahead of you in some ways? Or are you catching them early enough?
I think
I
we
think so,
we
yeah.
catch them early enough because it's as basic as, what are fun things for you to do and see on this website, and what happens if you accidentally get to a website. And that may have been something that has happened at home, but we're addressing it at school and telling them and go seek an adult, go back, close the browser. We're giving them, we give them the situation and solutions that they can use not only at school but also at home.
And another thing you mentioned that a lot of people don't think about is not everything you search is true. And so for students understanding what are legitimate research sites and how to identify those is just so critically important at a young age, as we all know. Any other?
That's good. Good stuff.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Great
you.
Great
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll take a quick break. If anybody would like to leave, you're certainly welcome to. We'd love to have you stay for our meeting, but like I say, we'll take a quick break. We'll call the meeting back to order at this time. The next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve as published?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Tom and a second from Darla. All in favor? Unanimous. Next is public participation. Anything on our list? Nobody signed up, okay. So our first presentation tonight will be from Larry Hamill on the finance report.
Good evening, everybody. Hey, Larry.
First and only presentation tonight. Make it good.
All right, tonight we're going to discuss the 2020 January financial statements. Of course, we're always mindful of goal 3 for the school system. If you look, the cash equivalents at the beginning of the month of January was $168.7 million. We ended the month with $154 million. You can see the breakdown between cash receipts, between taxes and grants, others, and disbursements. The good news is this time last year, we're at $141 million in 2019, so we're slightly ahead there. As you can see, we have a budget of $483 million. We collected $663 million with $119 million left to collect. This time last year, we're at 73.72, so we're almost 1.5% above where we were last year. And if you look at the first line, ad valorem taxes at 97.93. Right now, we're at 97.17, so we're slightly behind that. And then if you look at the next line, which is intangible tax, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. We're at 97.93, and last year we're at 97.17, so we're slightly ahead.
Right.
The other good line is intangible tax is coming real strong. We're already at 76%. This time last year, we were only at 40%. And then the next line I wanted to show you is the TVAT tax, and that's that new tax we collect on the sales of cars. We're already at 63%, and last year we're only at 55%. So we have a couple categories coming really strong this year.
Larry, I'm sorry, do you remember what was our percentage collection rate last year at the end of the year for property? Do you remember what that was?
For the ad valorem,
Yes,
it was 99.
99, okay.
So for the expenditures, as you can see, we're at 59.04%. And last year, we were at 58.91, so we're slightly ahead by 0.15, which makes me feel good because we're pretty much on par where we were last year. The debt cash analysis, we made a payment in February, the end of June for February for the debt service, so we got that paid. And of course, you can see the cash balance was pretty high prior to that in the month, 84, we're down to 49. This time last year, we were only at 26.9, so the collections have come really well with the debt service account. Investment summary. Total balance is $201 million. This time last year, it was 265, almost 266. Of course, we've drawn a lot of money down to make payments on the property and building we've done in the last year and a half. So the collections, if you look, you can see there's a total average of 3.35 and there's a 12-month average of 3.4. So if we look at last year this time, the average collection is 3.28. So if you take that consideration, right now we're collecting about $61,828 per month more than the average this time last year. Also, if you look at the last 12 months versus the first this time last year, we're collecting a rate of $154,570 more a month. And then if you look at the average for the last 12 months versus the average overall, we're currently collecting about a $92,762 per month rate higher than we were. So definitely the money's coming in stronger than we had predicted.
Broke the 4 million mark for the first time
Yeah, exactly.
in December. Yeah.
Yeah, December was a very strong month for us, as well as January.
Well, they were talking on the news today about China and how that could, what's going on there and how that could impact. And they said in a few months we might start to find goods that are harder to get. And it'd be interesting to see if that tiny little thing could ultimately affect us in the long run. Hopefully not.
With a good thing for transportation, I was talking earlier, is the gas. If you notice, the price of gasoline has gone down dramatically, and OPEC's actually thinking about having another meeting to cut back on their production cost again, to try to get the price back up. But it was in the mid-60s just before Christmas, and it's down to low 50s now per barrel. So if you look at cash receipts and disbursements, the amount that was received and dispersed is normal. The balance is $5 million. This time last year, the balance is $4.6 million, so it's gone up slightly. For middle schools and for elementary as well, high schools as well, the receipts and disbursements look normal. This time last year, middle school is slightly ahead with $2 million. And the high schools are a lot higher. They only had $3.98 million this time last year. And overall, the balance is 11.3. This time last year, it was just slightly over $10 million. So we're definitely ahead where we were last year. And that is the January 2020 financial statements. Any questions?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
There are no action items tonight, so do we point some information?
Yeah, just a couple of things. You probably noticed on the attendance report, we're about 50,800 students now. I only point that out because we're rapidly approaching the 51,000 student mark. So Tim Amerson, once again, very accurate in his projections. I also wanted to share with you this morning, Steve Hahn from our safety department and I had a chance to do a video conference. We were presenting our work in our district on what we're doing to try to curtail the amount of vaping that is taking place. We actually have an anti-vaping committee in our school system. So we were meeting with folks from the American Heart Association from all over the southeastern part of the United States to share what we're doing in Forsyth County. Part of that are changes we've made in our curriculum to address the issue for students in middle school and high school through science and or health classes. Also, the modifications we made to our code of conduct over the last couple of years. It used to be solely punitive when students were caught. Now there's an educational component that we've added to our code of conduct, which has been very well received because parents have to attend to, by parents and students alike. So we're really pleased with the progress there. And students are reporting to us, the safety committee is going out to meet with middle school and high school students throughout the county, meeting with panels of 10 to 12 students, really to try to get a pulse. And the students are being very open and honest with us, and they're telling us they're seeing a decrease in the amount of vaping and vaping products that they're seeing in their schools, which is a very good sign. which, I attribute a lot of that again, to the campaign we've put in place in the last year. We have a web page dedicated to anti-vaping webpage and materials and resources for students and parents alike. And again, that positive change we made to our code of conduct. Our counselors and nurses are also going through some training this summer to help identify. Of course, we're working closely with school resource officers. So I think we've reached the goal now of changing that myth that vaping is somehow a safe alternative to tobacco use. That's kind of the way it was put out a couple years ago. I think that the tide has changed. I think people realize now, certainly when we talk to our kids, they realize that vaping is not a safe alternative to tobacco use. In fact, not only the groups of people I talked about are dealing with that. Nathan Turner is working with athletic directors because it's not just, the general student population, student athletes. And we're getting testimonials from the National High School Association of Students talking about how vaping impacts their performance in a negative way, and using those testimonials to get the word out to our kids as well. So just wanted to report, I think we're moving in a very positive direction. Our goal now is obviously to change behaviors and make sure that our students are hopefully not making that choice to vape. But it was a great opportunity today to share what we're doing in Forsyth County with folks from all over the Southeast. And just wanted to share that with you. Any questions or comments?
Conversations at Montgomery County, is there the school system you're
Yeah.
working with, what are their experiences, and have we gained our help either way?
We've been focusing primarily with Montgomery County, which is a small system in the southern part of our state, really more of the central part of the state, focusing more on Title I. Than how they're using their Title I dollars versus how we use our Title I dollars. Also sharing information on career tech. They actually, for a small school system, have a very strong career tech program, but they've also taken away a lot of things we're doing with our work-based learning program. And I'm actually going down to spend a half day in their school system later on this spring, which I'm looking forward to. Their superintendent and several board members were up here about a month ago, spent a half a day at Chestatee Elementary where we were sharing ideas and resources, and it was very well received. Yeah, it was good.
How that progresses.
Okay, next on our agenda is the executive session. Do we have a motion to go into executive session for personnel?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Tom, a second from Kristin. All in favor? Unanimous.